Hello everyone, I am Dr. Rogers. Welcome to Physics 101. This is a walkthrough of my Canvas shell as well as the syllabus for the spring of 2020. When you sign into Canvas, this is what you see. Let's talk about this really quickly. First of all, this is an 8-week fully online class. Yes, fully online lecture and lab. Also 8 weeks. It's going to run very fast compared to a 16-week course. Please get ahead and please don't fall behind. Let's go ahead and start clicking on things. If you were to click on this guy right here, it's got a quick little blurb about me as well as my contact information. Best way to get in touch with me is to shoot me an email. This is a phone. Very often I'm over in the lab, so probably shooting me an email is the best way to get in touch with me. My office is 216 of the Science and Health Profession building. Just because this is a fully online class does not mean I don't want to talk to you. In fact, I think we would cover a lot more if we were to talk face-to-face than if we were to exchange emails, but I understand that online can be kind of convenient. Please feel free to swing by and talk to me. We can cover so much. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about the syllabus. You can find the syllabus in two different places. You can find the syllabus through this page right here. I think the tab right here is a little bit more useful because it has not only the syllabus, but kind of when things are due. Things are going to be largely due on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can kind of see the due dates right over here, and you can kind of see the Thursdays and the Tuesdays. I have broke things up into a block for test 1, a block for test 2, a block for test 3, and a block for test 4. I didn't set specific due dates except for everything for test 1 is due on this Thursday, and then test 1 is due on the following Tuesday. And then there's kind of a gap for you to go ahead and get the stuff done for test number 2. That's due on a Thursday, and then the actual test is on a Tuesday. That gives you a little bit of digestion time. It also allows you to work at your own pace. I highly, highly, highly don't recommend that you try to knock out all of these homeworks and this quiz on that Thursday. I would highly recommend that you spend a little bit of time before this due date trying to get some of that taken care of. So with that said, I do want to point out this big due date right here, February 13th. Put that on your calendar. There's a lot of stuff due on that particular one. In the 16-week class, we usually have a fall break or a spring break that kind of breaks this chapter up. This is a lot of stuff. Please get ahead. Please start submitting this stuff early. That is a due date. It does not mean you can't submit things earlier than that particular date. So if we click on this, it's going to show you the syllabus. It's where I have the textbook and some that schedule right there. Standard VCCS description, we're going to talk about physics. We're going to do it at a largely conceptual level. There is some math, but not a whole awful lot of math. I try not to hit you with it more than I have to. It's conceptual physics. We're going to talk about mechanics, energy, and thermodynamics in Physics 101, and then we'll talk about electricity, magnetism, and waves in Physics 102, as well as quantum physics. Could be fun. Again, 216 Science and Health Professions building. There's my phone number, there's my email, probably the best way to get in touch with me. And please do feel free to get in touch with me. My lectures are on YouTube. The labs are simulations, and I'll show you where to find all those in a little bit. This is the textbook, Money Saving Note. You can get by with the 11th edition for pennies on the dollar. Be ready for the online environment. Make sure you have a good internet connection and all that good stuff. Let's talk about the labs. The labs, what I do with the labs is most of them, there's 27 of them, 25 of them are online simulations. 2 of them you actually need some physical things like a way to measure distance and time. I'm pretty sure you have that. Actually, the first 2 labs are the only 2 where you actually need some physical materials. The rest of them are online. I realize that some of them are older Java simulations. I have weeded out as many of those as possible, but 1 or 2 I have not gotten away from, so I actually just did a YouTube walkthrough if you can't get those guys to work. Homework, we have essentially about 10 questions or so per chapter, multiple choice. You have 2 attempts, and it'll take the higher of the 2 attempts. For the labs, I do want to note that I will accept 2 attempts on those guys, and I will average the 2. However, I do ask that you turn them in 2 days before the actual due dates. That way I have some time to go through them and get you some feedback. So again, as long as you get them to me 48 hours beforehand, then I will get them back to you with some feedback, and I'll take the average of the 2 attempts. The reason why I do that is because in the face-to-face class, I usually swing around and try to steer you in the right direction. And that way people don't go too far right field. This way you can get some feedback before you submit it for the final attempt. Of course, you are welcome to shoot me an email if you're like, dude, I got no idea what this lab is asking me to do. I would much rather steer you on the right path and have you just submit it and kind of hope. There's 5 quizzes throughout the semester. These guys are timed, and you'll have 1 attempt for those guys. I don't accept late quizzes or homework for that matter because, well, it kind of shows you the answers after the due date. 4 tests. They have about 35-ish multiple choice questions. There is a practice test as well, and I don't accept them past the due date. These guys are in Canvas, and you have 50 minutes to complete it. Once you start the timer going on that 50 minutes, don't start taking the test and go fix yourself some lunch or something like that, because the timer keeps on going. The reason why I have the time limit on there is because, well, you could probably Google your way through it if you had unlimited time, and so that's why we have the 50 minutes. In my face-to-face classes with similar tests, people do not take 50 minutes. Most people knock them out in about half an hour, so you should have plenty of time. Here's the breakdown of the points. We have a syllabus quiz. I'll show you where that is in a little bit. We have tests, labs, homework, and quizzes. There's no reason why you can't get 100% on the labs, the homework, and because I'm more than willing to help you on those guys, and that's a goodly chunk of the class. Obviously, make sure that you come to class, better yet, sign into Canvas. Be nice to each other, don't cheat, and if you have the disability form, then get it to me as soon as possible, and we'll make things work for you. So here we have the schedule. This is kind of the same thing I showed you on the syllabus tab, but I'll go through it one more time. Here we have January 16th, and we have chapters essentially 1 through 4 due, as well as quiz 1. Again, if you turn in the labs before 48 hours before the due date, then I will get them back, or I will put scribble on them, and you can take a look at it and make any changes that you may need. This is the hard due date. Test number 1 covers chapters 1 through 4, and it's due on January 21st. This is kind of the next block, and then we have the test. Here we have the next block, and then the test number 3, and the last block, and test 4. Each test only covers the chapters that are preceding it. For example, test 4, it only covers chapters 15 through 18. Test number 3 only covers chapters 8 through 14, and so on and so forth. One thing to note again is this date right here is a big due date. There's lots and lots of stuff due. Please get ahead on that guy. I don't want you to try to be knocking all that stuff out on February 13th. That would be a very, very bad situation to be in. So with that said, let's go ahead and go through the rest of the class. So I'll go back to the home tab right here. You can actually access all of the assignments from those guys. Where are the lectures? Well, if we were to click on this guy right here, chapter number 1, here we have chapter number 1. I broke it up into two sections. I try to keep the YouTube videos to maybe less than 15 minutes because, well, that's probably what your attention span is. You can see this one right here is 10 minutes. And okay, what we can do is we can just go ahead and skim our way through the lecture, voice over PowerPoint. Please do take notes, and if you want to cover things faster, then you can go ahead and you can watch things a little bit faster, and that way that'll give you some more time to pause. I personally only watch YouTube at 2x. That's kind of a personal preference. Here we have the slides that I'm going to talk to in a PDF form, so you can go ahead and pop this guy open right here, and these are the slides that I talked to in case you wanted to go ahead and scribble on those guys. So let's go back to the home page, and you'll see the rest of the table. It's got chapters 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So all the links that you need for that are right here. If we were to go back to the syllabus tab, you can kind of see when, or see where you can find the homeworks and stuff like this. So chapter 2 homework, chapter 3, 4, and chapter 1 homework, as well as the labs. If I were to click on this guy right here, then you can go ahead and say, well, look at this. This one only has 5 questions. It's chapter 1. I have 2 attempts, and again, it'll take the higher of the 2. There's no time limit on this guy right over here, and you can just go ahead and randomly click on, well, don't randomly click on these guys. Go ahead and do it, and you could submit this one, and it will show you which ones you got wrong. So that way you have an idea of which ones you need to take a look at. So you can see I just randomly clicked on things. The score was 0 out of 5. It took less than a minute. And, well, I guess, don't choose this one when it comes to that question. Don't choose what I chose for that one, and so on and so forth. So it will tell you which ones you got wrong, and after the due date, it will show you what the answers actually are. So now you can take this guy again, and you can hopefully do better. We can also access this through the Assignments tab if you prefer. I personally like the Syllabus tab. I'll just kind of show you where these guys are. So you could access it right here. You can access the labs right here as well as the quizzes and the test samples. Here is a syllabus quiz. Make sure you go ahead and do that guy. I'll show you what this guy looks like. We can take this guy, and everything that is on this quiz is probably answered in this video that you're watching. For example, I've mentioned a few times what the best way to get in touch with me. I've mentioned something about late assignments, and I've mentioned something about labs, and you should be able to find that guy in the syllabus. So I will go back to this guy right here, go back to the syllabus tab to access some things. I'll show you where the labs are and how to submit those guys. So this lab right here, well, I'll go ahead and I'll click on this lab right here because this one has a YouTube video on how to do this. For every lab, you have a couple of ways to do it. I've given you a document file or a PDF. You can fill these guys out however you want. And if you wanted to even fill this guy out or print this guy out, write on it and take a picture, scan it with your phone, then you can do that. We can go ahead and open this guy right over here. This is a simulation, and I have a little introduction on how to do this guy. I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. Here we go. So here we have the lab, and what we can do is we can click on this guy. It's going to pop open a simulation, and it more or less walks you through what you're going to do. If you do go ahead and just type on this thing in Word, please do me a favor and just kind of fill it out with a different color. That way it's easier for me to pick out. I'd really appreciate that. Now, what can we do for, let's see, what can we do for an introduction for this lab? Well, if you click on this link right here, I'm going to essentially walk you through this lab, and I'm going to show you where people tend to mostly go wrong, and how to go ahead and complete some of the activities. If there is, for example, a problem in this, I usually work a problem on the slides right here. So let me just go ahead and pop through this guy right over here. See if there's anything exciting. I highlight some of the important things, and I show you how to interact with the simulation. Some of the simulations, this one right here was in HTML5, so this one should work for most of you all. If you are on a Mac, then the Java ones will not work, but I do have a video on how to do some of those guys. So you can fill out the document or the PDF. Let me go back to the syllabus tab, and I'll show you a few more things. I'll show you where the quizzes are. I'm not going to bore you by clicking on them. Boom, there's the quiz. Told you in the syllabus you have 15 minutes and you have one attempt. There it is. When it comes to the tests, we have the real test and we have a sample test. The sample test, I make it side by side with the real test. I have roughly the same number of questions covering roughly the same scope. You're not going to see 20 questions on something on the sample test and only one on the real test. So I do try to make them side by side. It's not worth anything. It does have a time limit, and you will have unlimited attempts. It will show you the answers after the first attempt, but this kind of gives you a little bit of practice. Make sure that you're comfortable with the time limit. And again, it's not worth anything. You can do it as many times as you want. Use it however you want. My advice to you would be get yourself whatever you're going to take the test with, calculator, notes, book, what have you. Give this thing a go and see how the 15 minutes treats you. It does give you a warning, and you can kind of get a feeling for what the real test is going to be. So with that said, I think I have covered everything that I wanted to for this class. I do want to show you how to submit the lab assignments really quick. So to do that, I'll go back into the syllabus tab and I'll click on one of the labs. Come on, baby. So I'll click on this lab right over here. To submit it, you're going to go ahead and click the submit guy right over there. You should have saved it on your computer. You can choose the file. I don't have that one downloaded, so I'm just going to randomly select something, and I'll select this guy right here. Don't just randomly submit files to me, please. If you have any comments, you can put them in right here and you can submit it. What I will do is I will go through and I will put a grade on there, and I will mark it up, scribble on it if you will. If you need to take a look at something, I will show you where the bad things actually happened. You can then resubmit it right here if you so choose. With that said, this video is hitting my 15-minute mark, so I look forward to interacting with you, and I hope you have a great semester. Take care. Bye.